Okay everybody, in today's video we're going to be looking at the Spanish FR-8 Mauser, and the history with this goes that the Spanish were looking at in the late 40s and early 50s at adopting the set-me rifles, which were basically G3s, the predecessor to the G3, and they were adopting that and adopting a new caliber, 7.62 NATO. Before that, they had been using 8mm Mauser with their M43 Mausers. So they decided they needed a good training rifle to be able to train troops on. And they decided they'd use their M43 Mauser actions and add the sights that were going to be on the set-me rifles, add the muzzle brake, make it to where they could take the same bayonets and slings, and basically just overhauled M43 Mausers. And these rifles will have a Parkerized finish. This one's made in 1949. These would be made basically from 1949 into the early 50s. I believe 53, 54 is when production began to slow down. And the sights on these are a dial sight. This is the lowest position, and it's a notch. And then you have 3 different aperture sights. One of them's all the way over here. But those are the different sights you have on it. And it works just the same as a standard Mauser 98. Locks open on empty magazine. Cock on open. And it has a 3-position flag safety. This is disassembly, safe, and then all the way over is fire. And the slings on these are just standard G3 or set-me slings. And then up here at the front, this is the bayonet lug. We don't have one of the bayonets for it, but there is something that you can do is press this button, and then this whole tube will come out, and there's a cleaning kit inside of this tube. And this is made to kind of replicate what's the tube for the charging handle in the set-me rifles. And that's just so you can mount the set-me bayonet onto them. And these rifles would be in service, used for training for a number of years until Spain eventually adopted the 5.56 caliber, at which point these would all be surplused here on the U.S. market. And these would be quite cheap when they came in, so a lot of people bought them because they were in 7.62 NATO. And they've just been kind of floating around the U.S. surplus market since. In this video, we're going to be shooting 149 grain Federal full metal jacket. And there's a lot of misconceptions and rumors about ammo, and some people will say that these only shoot 7.62 set-me or other things like that, that they can't handle 7.62 NATO, but that's just not the case, because these actions were made for 8mm Mauser, which is a much more powerful round than 7.62 NATO, so they can more than handle 7.62 NATO. I would be hesitant about shooting full power 308 through it, just because that's a little bit heavy on the gun, just shooting a ton of that, but 7.62 NATO is just fine. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it, so let's get into shooting some. Alright, I'm going to load up 5 rounds down at 100 yards. Federal 149 grain FMJ. And we're single loading because it wasn't wanting to load from the stripper clips very well. And the action on this is fairly stiff. This isn't quite as nice as the M43 Spanish Mausers. Alright, that's all 5 of them. Alright, here's our group, and it's a very nice group right here, just a little bit high and a little bit to the right. Now I will say, with that V-notch rear, which is what we were using that time, the sight picture is pretty bad. It's hard to know where the V starts, and it's pretty hard to get it lined up with the front sight. So we're going to switch to the aperture sight from now on, but pretty good group. Alright, we're going to load up another 5 rounds, 100 yards. This time we're going to use the rear aperture peep sight and see what that does. Now the sight picture is pretty bad with the V-notch, but it's actually pretty good with the rear aperture. It's all 5 of them. Alright, here's our next group. We got 5 right here. Hits high with the aperture, but a very nice group. This is from a separate group we did, just function testing the rifle earlier. But this group is very nice. Alright, load up another 5. This is overall a fairly accurate rifle. Certainly a lot easier to use these aperture sights than the original barleycorn sights that were on the M43 Mauser. That's all 5 of them. Alright, here's our next group. Another 4, another 5 right here in the same spot as the last groups. Pretty accurate rifle overall. Alright everybody, that's going to be it for the video. We had a lot of fun with the FR-8 Mauser. And these are pretty cool rifles with, you know, an interesting history that they were made as training rifles from the ground up, but pretty shootable in the U.S. today since, you know, 7.62 NATO's easily available. And as you saw, accurate rifles. Overall, these are pretty cool rifle, and if you can find one for the right price, I'd say it's definitely worth picking up if this is something you'd be into. And yeah, if you want to see any more of any of our Spanish Mausers, let us know in the comments, and we'll catch you in the next one.